What's up, guys? It's the Duck-Jitsu podcast. We have Brennan, the owner of Coffee and Kimuras, coming at you. It's International Podcast Day. Did you know that?
We're in a new territory for you. So Austin's visiting us in Ireland this week. He's doing a bit of a European tour, so we took him on a whistle-stop tour of Ireland for a couple of days. And we've been getting some good training in, bit of a photo shoot, and gonna have a bit of a chat now, I suppose.
We've been going non-stop. How many gyms have we been to?
Is it 4 already? In
4.
like 2 days?
Yeah.
And still one more to go.
Got a nice photo shoot in. We've been getting ready for Grapple Fest this October 1st, right?
Yeah, this Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yeah, so it's been good to have you over. Good to have you this side of the Atlantic. We've kind of been going back and forth for a couple of years. We've known each other for a couple of years, and it's the first time we've met in person. So, it's good to meet in person and get to know each other a bit better. And yeah, we've been talking a lot over the last couple of days. So let's record some of it.
Yeah. So tell the people a little bit about what you do for your work.
So I'm digital marketing is kind of what I do. I set up Coffee and Kimuras as a kind of a passion project when I was developing a bit of an obsession with both coffee and jiu-jitsu at the same time about 5 years ago. It's kind of a passion project alongside my kind of main business, which is websites and digital marketing. And yeah, it's a way of me kind of trying to make a bit of a profession out of jiu-jitsu as well, without just having to be a coach or own a school. It's a different kind of angle on it. Although it's kind of a niche sport, it's really cool to be involved with it and work with athletes like yourself and Marcelo Cohen, who we both know as well. And yeah, it's an enjoyable kind of thing. I like kind of the design process of designing products, and recently we've created our own coffee blend, our own coffee roast, which we released only about 2 months ago. So that's been going well as well, which is it's always nice to drink your own coffee and not be relying on other people's coffee. But the balance is trying not to drink it all when I should be trying to probably sell some of it.
Yeah, you can't get high off your own supply. You gotta save some for your customers. I think not enough people know how to use the work that they do on a day-to-day basis and kind of transition that into their passion, where you've taken the skills you've learned from your job and you've brought it into your brand, Coffee and Kimuras. Can you go into some of the skills you picked up from your job on just the marketing side of things to help build your brand?
Yeah, so what I do is essentially on a day-to-day basis, I'm working with different businesses from every kind of industry, a lot of e-commerce businesses as well, which is where I get a lot of skills from, even developing a website to like copywriting and what kind of imagery works well, and obviously advertising as well, and trying to pull that across into developing a brand for kind of, obviously it's almost a consultant basis. I'm working for other people, but why not do that for myself and develop my own brand and have kind of a full 360 kind of benefit from it. Marketing's pretty simple. People kind of overcomplicate it sometimes, and when you look at brands from the outside, you think, wow, I could never do that. That's really complicated looking. But like everything else, every brand was started by someone who just had an idea and kind of took action with it. And it's just about being consistent. Like obviously, jiu-jitsu in itself is about being consistent and constantly turning up, training, getting the reps in, getting used to moves, and it's muscle memory over time. And it's you learn from your mistakes, and it's the same thing in business and just in business in general, that you just try things and don't be afraid to fail. Like when we're on jiu-jitsu mats, you realize you try different things, and okay, you get tapped, so what? You turn around, slap hands, pump fists, go again. It's the same thing in business, and There's nothing too complicated to it. It's just a case of trial by fire. There's no superstars who are like naturally gifted at business. It's just a case of putting yourself out there and trying it and going that way and seeing what works and what doesn't. And probably more times than not, you're gonna fail. It's not gonna work out. But when something clicks, it's a really rewarding feeling when it's your creation and your idea that's out there. I suppose maybe from a jiu-jitsu point of view, if you like not develop your own technique, but maybe you discover a certain technique through drilling on your own, it's a similar feeling. That light bulb goes off in your head. You're like, wow, I've spotted something here. This is very cool. And it's a similar kind of feeling. So I suppose it's kind of cliche to say, oh, jiu-jitsu concepts apply to life, but they do cross over, definitely. It's an enjoyable kind of venture, an ongoing venture that doesn't really have an end, which again is what jiu-jitsu is like. It's not like you have I don't know, let's say American sports, you have a Super Bowl, that's the end of the season, and that's it. It's like jiu-jitsu is so ongoing, and it's the same with business. You just keep going. You try and improve constantly and see where you can take it.
And I don't think really brand development's talked about enough in jiu-jitsu. Whether you're a coach, you're an athlete, you are running a business, something in jiu-jitsu, you're running a tournament, you need to know how to build a brand and develop a brand. Do you have any advice for people in the jiu-jitsu industry? Because I really think if you're trying to make a living, not even a living, if you're trying to like feed yourself off of jiu-jitsu for all those athletes, what is advice you'd give to them for building up their brands?
Yeah, like jiu-jitsu is a very niche sport, let's be honest. Obviously it's growing, and especially in Ireland, even though it's a very small country, over the last 3 to 4 years specifically, I think jiu-jitsu has really blown up in this country. And we're only a country of 4 or 5 million people, so in other countries I imagine it's growing very quickly as well, and it's the same kind of thing, but it's still a niche sport. And within that, there is a very small number of people who are really kind of focused on building their own brand. And it's not so much about knowing how to do it. It comes back to that thing again of just putting yourself out there. I don't know if there is like an attitude among athletes of being afraid to put too much content out there in case they get criticized for having bad technique, or maybe based off matches that they've lost, and even using that content to kind of take it from a different angle. As a brand owner within jiu-jitsu, and kind of looking at guys like yourself and Marcelo Cohen are quite good at promoting yourself as a brand specifically. As a brand owner, and you get so many people that contact us and would say, oh, I'm looking to get sponsorship, but they don't really offer anything. They don't have an outlet to say, this is where we're going to help you and you can help us, and vice versa. There always has to be kind of a mutual thing. Making a living out of jiu-jitsu is very, very tough. The best way to do that is to provide content to people and put yourself out there and not be afraid to say, I want to make a living out of this. I really like this sport. I know other people do, but I'm going to put a bit of effort in. There's a lot of jiu-jitsu content out there that's kind of middle of the road, but it's not hard to step above that by kind of just being a little bit tactical, planning ahead of time, being consistent is the main thing, and then obviously providing value. You don't have to be a world-class black belt with massive competition experience to be able to provide value to people within the jiu-jitsu industry. It cross-transfers to every industry of, it's not just jiu-jitsu, of like just being consistent, providing value, and putting yourself out there. the easiest thing to do is just to post on social media. I know that might sound like a bit of a condescending thing to say, just post on social media, but it is as simple as that. Like, you're very good at planning things ahead of time. We've spoken about this over the last couple of days. We spoke a lot about your kind of approach to social media and the different channels, having different content for different channels, planning that weeks and months ahead of time. It takes the effort or the pressure off you to not have to be on a day-to-day basis thinking about, oh, I need to post something, I'm just going to throw up a picture of me in the gym. No, plan a bit of content, kind of have a structure to it, have a couple of themes that you can change in and out to keep it fresh, and yeah, mainly being consistent with it. And especially as a jiu-jitsu athlete, it's going to be so hard to make a living out of it. That Marcelo is a great example of putting yourself out there, talking to people and getting kind of sponsorship from different industries, because sponsorship is going to be something that you're going to need to make a living as a jiu-jitsu athlete. Let's be honest. You can teach, and that's fine, but you're limited by your time. That's something that, like, the two angles of what I do professionally with the brand and then with kind of marketing consulting, there's kind of a time-based element to the consulting that there's a limit to that. With the brand, there might be a limit because it's a niche kind of sport, but there's no limit to, let's say, time doesn't become a factor. So if you think of that from a teaching point of view, you can only teach a certain amount of classes or privates or whatever in a day or a week. So looking at it from a different point of view and saying, right, well, how can I provide value to more people by using less time? Danaher and Gordon Ryan are really good at that in terms of they don't work on privates. They work on doing instructionals, because the cost of an instructional might be less than their kind of cost of doing a private class, but they can reach anyone in the world with those instructionals. They don't have to be limited by someone who can get to them, who can afford to pay for them, who can have the time for them, and then them squeezing those people into their time. So I know I'm kind of jumping around there a little bit, but it's thinking about it from different angles and trying not to be what is already out there. And it's the same with brands, it's the same with businesses. It's trying to have a different angle on things. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel. Like, there's a kind of I suppose a bit of an attitude in people who want to start a business, and they say, oh, I need to come up with a brand new idea, something that's never been done before. No, you don't. Most ideas have been done at this stage. It's very difficult to come up with a new idea unless you're like into the metaverse or something at this stage, which would be not a bad angle. But what you need to do is look at what is in the industry and put your own twist on it, get your personality out there, and yeah, just put another, your own angle on it so that it's kind of unique and people will pay attention to that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. You don't have to be the best in the world. You just have to be yourself. You just got to go out there and you got to be authentic.
Exactly.
I think people can tell when you're inauthentic. And, there's a couple things there. Marcelo Cohen, that guy puts himself in the right room. He puts himself in rooms where there are people who can sponsor him and there's brands, and he networks and he markets. I got to see him in Seattle, kind of do that a little bit. So it was nice. It was a good experience. He's a very social guy too. So that definitely helps. But for the young guys, so Ireland, it's a big country, not big country, but there's a lot of people here. You're going to have some future superstars coming up. They're coming up. They're probably blue belts right now. They're coming through the ranks. They're getting on their social media. They're posting every day or whatever they're doing. Where do they start? So they're posting on social media. They kind of want to, they want to make a competition career out of this. How do they reach out to that initial brand?
The best thing is to have a kind of proof of work. So it's build up that back catalogue of content, showing if you can't promote yourself, when as a brand owner you want to come on board with an athlete, you need to be able to see that that athlete can help promote you, and in turn you'll help promote that athlete as well by obviously, like, let's say for example today we just came from a photo shoot, and a lot of that content will be posted on our website, on our social media. You're going to be tagged in that, so you're getting a benefit from that of being promoted on it. But the idea of us as a brand sponsoring you as an athlete is to get another angle and to reach another audience, and that's your audience. So if you as an athlete can say, I've built this audience of a couple of thousand people, or 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever it is, you have that proof of work of saying, I can build an audience, I can hold attention, because that's what marketing is holding attention and grabbing attention, or vice versa, grabbing attention and then holding it. It comes down to providing value and being consistent. And although that sounds very vague, it's very hard to be more specific than that, because it is on an individual kind of case by case basis that you need to put your personality on it. You need to put your spin on it. You need to use, let's say from a jiu-jitsu point of view, the game that you play, the certain sequences that you build into your game to that's kind of unique to you. Show those to the world and say, this is how I see jiu-jitsu. This is how I see this position. This is how I like to play it. It might kind of create a spark in the viewer's head of saying, oh, that's actually, it's a kind of a unique angle on how maybe I would look at it. And then that's grabbing attention, and then you're holding attention by consistently kind of providing content around that. And it's not always about a new fancy move, or here's a really unique submission I just discovered, or whatever. It's about it's just about your personality, and it's also not just about the particular moves or how you play jiu-jitsu. It's about you as a person and being engaging. You don't necessarily have to be controversial. Obviously, there are some athletes in the sport who go that angle and say controversial things and try and kind of get attention that way. It works, fair enough, but it doesn't always have to be like that. Not everyone is like that. Not everyone. Don't try and force controversy through like something that isn't something that you naturally do. Be authentic, like you were saying. Be authentic and put yourself out there. Show people what you're like as a person within your content. If you naturally crack jokes, why not crack jokes in a video? If the camera goes on, you're recording, doing a technique, and then you're all rigid, but normally you're like a kind of a nice, free flowy, happy kind of guy. Do that on camera. It doesn't have to be the same as let's say a really polished instructional. You can, I think some of the best content and some of the best performing content online at the minute is like behind the scenes content, where people see, I say that kind of from a bit of a strange angle, in that I don't do enough behind the scenes content for our own brand and our own business. It is something that I'm being a bit contradictory here in a way, in that
we got some today. We got some today.
We got some nice behind the scenes content today. It's about kind of using that as an angle and showing yourself as a person. Everyone is everyone is unique, and everyone is interesting. There's a term that a training partner and one of my coaches, Andrew McGahan, made me aware of a couple of years ago. It's a word called Sonder, S-O-N-D-E-R, and it's that everyone that you walk past on the street, I'm going to paraphrase this a little bit, but everyone that you walk past is as unique and individual and has as interesting as a life as you do. That it's about that. Don't look at other people as, oh, that's just that guy over there, or I'm just walking past a group of people here. Everyone is interesting and everyone's unique. So use that as kind of motivation to say, well, people should be interested, but people could be interested in what I have to say. There's going to be a subset of people that are interested in me and me as a person, and then by extension then what I do, and what I do is jiu-jitsu, and what I do all day is jiu-jitsu. So bring across your passion within that content, bring across your passion for jiu-jitsu. If you're trying to make jiu-jitsu a full-time living, you're obviously passionate about it, so put a bit of effort into showing that passion, not just saying, oh, here's a guillotine, wrap the neck and pull hard. It's like, show that you're passionate about this sport, and the sport is growing, and obviously I'm a little bit biased in hoping that it's going to keep growing, but I really do think it will. And it's in a good place now that someone who can start being consistent and build up over the next couple of years, they could be in a good place to make a good living off jiu-jitsu without having to rely on like what people have been relying on up to now, which is teaching classes, opening a small gym, and kind of not necessarily struggling, but not being unique, just kind of doing the same thing that's already been done. Put your own spin on it and be unique. Yeah.
So for the guys doing that, the younger guys, they're coming up, they're doing all the competitions, they're posting on social media, they're doing everything, and they're waiting for that message for a sponsorship.
Don't wait.
There's this idea that once you start winning competitions and you're doing that work where you're consistent, you're putting in the social media, that a sponsorship's going to come along, message you and say, hey, we want to give you clothes, we want to give you money, we want to create a relationship. What do you say to those guys?
It's not coming. Don't wait. Don't wait for the message to come. Our two primary athletes at the minute are you and Marcelo Cohen. Both of you guys reached out to us and said, look, we love your brand. We're into coffee, we're into jiu-jitsu. This is what we're doing on social media. This is the content we're posting. It's build up that bank of content, and then when you feel you're at a good level, reach out to the brands that you really love. Show that you've been a customer of those brands is a main thing. If you reach out to a brand and you say, oh, I'd love to have some of your gear. Well, how do you know you'd love to have it if you've never had any before? You don't know what it feels like. You don't know what it fits like. You don't know if you really align with the brand. You don't know what the customer experience is like having bought a product from them. So if you really want to kind of connect with a brand, show that you've been a customer, show that you're interested in their brand, that you've maybe been promoting their content or their products off your own bat before you reach out to them. And then send out the message. If it's a case of they come back and they say, look, we're not interested this time, fine, that's okay. Keep going. Don't be disheartened. Not every brand at every particular moment isn't always looking to take an athlete on board, or isn't always looking to kind of push their marketing. Brands at different stages have different plans, and like I was saying about planning out your social media content, brands plan out what they're doing 6, 12, 24 months in advance. So you might reach out at maybe just not quite the right time. There's a balance, obviously, between reaching out all the time, spamming the brand, and reaching out kind of at kind of semi-regular intervals to see, look, are you interested now? But be kind of subtle about it as well. But once you're putting out that content and you're showing that you're being consistent, you're trying, and it's not all about competition wins either. Obviously, competition wins are great, but if you can grab and hold attention, that's the main thing. Don't be disheartened by, oh, well, my last 5 competitions, I've lost the first match. That's not like the be all and end all either. It's not all about everyone can't be world champion at once. So it's about being authentic, being honest, being consistent, and not just waiting for the right opportunity, but putting yourself in the right places, asking the right questions, talking to the right people, and doors will open up. And the same goes for life in general. Like if it's not, maybe you're a jiu-jitsu athlete, you'd like to make it in jiu-jitsu, but in the meantime, you need to make ends meet by doing some other things in your career, or getting into another position just to keep yourself going in the meantime. Speak to people, see what opportunities you can open up by talking to people, by putting yourself out there. It's very easy nowadays to use social media as like a kind of a crutch and kind of pretend that you're putting yourself out there by being active or being semi-active on social media, or talking to people on social media. But if you can sit down with someone, have a coffee with them, that's another angle as well, is that like if there's a brand in your area, let's say there's not very many jiu-jitsu brands in Ireland, there's only a couple, so if someone reached out to me and was like, I'm not far away, I'm going to be in your area, or if you're not from Ireland and you're going to be here and you say, I'd love to come and meet you for a coffee, I'll have coffee with anyone. I love drinking coffee, I love having a chat with people, so that's a good way of opening the door, and not trying to force your way in the door, but just opening that door, and then over time seeing where that goes. Everything, it's, I suppose, a negative side of social media as well, is that everything needs to happen now. Everyone's so used to, oh, I need this now, Amazon Prime, I need this now. Doesn't always have to be now. Put in the groundwork, be consistent. Again, back to the jiu-jitsu analogy, just put in the groundwork, be consistent, keep showing up, and eventually it's going to pay off.
So you're telling me anybody that wants to have a coffee meeting with you could just shoot you a message on Coffee and Kimura's Instagram, and you'd happily meet up with them?
Well, come see me. I'm not going to fly all over the world meeting people for coffee. But
oh no, yeah. So if they come here,
I'm open to talking to anyone, having a cup of coffee with anyone. I love drinking coffee and having a chat, and I think most people do too. People overestimate other people's time. Obviously, everyone has the same amount of time, but everyone also likes to be social and to, especially, like, there's nothing better than sitting drinking a coffee and having a chat with someone, I think. So getting to know other people, and back to the Sonder thing, everyone's a unique individual. It's nice to talk to people and get their life experiences, see where they are, what they're doing, and there might not necessarily be a kind of a mutual interest in terms of some sort of exchange of ideas or whatever, or something that you could kind of work together going forward. But just by having a chat with someone, you might get an introduction, or you might spark an idea in your head for something completely separate. So being social, being unique, showing your personality and being authentic is so important, just in life in general, really, isn't it?
You're crazy, man. You heard it here first. Just shoot them a message on Instagram and schedule a coffee meeting. So you guys have the groundwork on now how to get sponsored for all those athletes coming out of Ireland. What about for the people who are hobbyists, who maybe aren't the best athletes in the world, but they want to have another avenue for, finding a way to make their hobby a passion, whether it's getting into running events, stuff like that? How would they contact you for event sponsorships? And also, do you prefer to sponsor an event rather than an athlete? Because I find it a little bit easier when you have a deadline, you have a date, you have a set audience, like, hey, we're running this event on this date. Would you guys be interested in sponsoring us? Compared to like athlete sponsorships, how do you handle that?
So we've done both. Obviously, we have a kind of a small roster of athletes. We have worked with different events in the past, both grappling and kind of jiu-jitsu invitational style events and MMA events. There obviously is a crossover from jiu-jitsu to MMA as well, but it's about aligning the brands as well. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete or you're running an event. it's about having a kind of a mutual benefit. Is the audience that's going to be at your event applicable to our brand? If it's a jiu-jitsu event or an MMA event, yeah, probably. But what's your, again, it comes back to your marketing for your event. What do you offer the brand? Where do you give the brand visibility within your content? It's the same kind of principles, and it's again about being authentic. I do like sponsoring events. I think it's a cool kind of thing. Obviously, we get from a brand point of view, we get the extra angle of maybe being able to set up a stall at the event and show off our gear a bit more. Obviously, there's no real like jiu-jitsu apparel shops or kind of, it's all D2C, e-commerce, website based. So being able to get out in front of potential customers and showing them, look, this is our gear, this is what it feels like when you feel something, when you feel a rash guard in your hand. Rash guards can be similar, but a lot of them feel very different. They're very different material, very specific reference. But when you get in front of people and you talk to them, again, it's the same thing of talking to people, being authentic. The behind the scenes element of those people seeing you as a brand owner and seeing, oh, this guy owns this brand, he's a nice guy. Yeah, nice little kind of subtle, I'm a nice guy. But yeah, it's as an event, it's the same thing as being an athlete. It's having a well-run event, professionally run, and given something to, it doesn't have to be a brand, it's whoever your kind of target sponsorship people are, or any companies who can come in to sponsor your event. It doesn't have to be jiu-jitsu brands. You're kind of limiting yourself there as well, but it's about just being consistent and being professional. And I suppose there's a little bit of a difference with events versus athletes in that if you have a professional looking event, it's a little bit different to kind of showing your personality as an athlete, but it's all the same concepts. And events are fun. They're fun to be involved with. A couple of the MMA events that we've sponsored, it's a different kind of angle on it, in that we started as a jiu-jitsu brand, but getting in on MMA and sponsoring some MMA athletes as well, it's another kind of angle that expands our reach as well. And be professional, have a good kind of base and proof of work and a bit of an audience, and send a message out there. Again, it's contact people, and don't be disheartened when you're gonna get no's.
Yeah, I don't second that. Chris is a great guy. He's been taking great care of me in Ireland. Where do you see Coffee and Kimura's going in the future? I know you have some new products coming out in the near future.
Yeah, so in the very, very near future, we have some new products. We have kind of new rash guards, new shorts, obviously, new ranges of leisure wear. And as I was saying recently, we launched our first coffee roast, custom blended coffee roast.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It is one of my favorite coffees in the morning. It's my go-to right now. So taking, what are we doing, 2 shots, 3 shots in the morning?
Yeah, 2 shots, twice.
Yeah, man. It's great.
I can never get enough of it. Obviously, I've been heavily involved in the development of it, so it is based around what I like to drink and the style of coffee that I like. So it obviously is something that I like, but it seems to be going down very well. A lot of people have given us some good feedback on it, and it's going quickly. We're waiting on our second batch already. We're almost out of the first batch, so. I think for the future of Coffee and Kimura's, it's continuing to develop the brand, developing more ranges of coffee, light roasts, dark roasts, in between, getting kind of a different spin on it that you're not drinking the same coffee every day. Obviously, you don't. I drink other coffee as well. It's not just coffee. It's not just our own coffee that I drink, and it's not just coffee and Kimura's gear that I wear in training. I branch out and I like to test other people's products, and for the future of it, it's just continuing to grow it and get the word out there. It is still a very kind of small. It's a small brand in a niche industry. But look, it's an enjoyable industry to be in. Jiu-Jitsu is such a friendly kind of industry. Doesn't matter where you go in the world. You walk into a Jiu-Jitsu gym, slap hands, bump fists, and off you go. I don't think I've come across another kind of subset of society that are as kind of friendly and kind of as good to each other as the Jiu-Jitsu community is. And yeah, it's just about staying involved in that and enjoying the journey, just like it is with Jiu-Jitsu itself.
Yeah, and I feel like a high percentage of the community loves coffee, so I think it's
a bonus.
Yeah, something's wrong with you if you don't drink coffee. So, a little bit about the why behind coffee and Kimuras. You kind of got into it in the beginning of the conversation. What is the why behind the brand, the mission statement?
So, as a kind of, from my background in marketing, every business should really have a mission statement. Coffee and Kimuras doesn't really have a mission statement. The mission statement is that I love coffee and I love Jiu-Jitsu. That's the mission statement. I love that's great. I love quality products. Yeah. I love quality rash guards. There's a lot of, I think anyone who's involved in Jiu-Jitsu has got those messages from potential suppliers, let's say, that would...
The ones from Pakistan that are like, hello, sir.
I make quality gi. So everyone's got those messages, I think. The variety and quality of what you can get is astronomical. So really, like, I like quality coffee, I like quality training gear, and I just wanted to be involved in Jiu-Jitsu in some capacity. Being honest, when I started Coffee and Kimuras, I was a white belt. That was the stage I was at. I probably went through 2 years of development of products, of rash guards, shorts, different types of training gear as a white belt without telling anyone what I was doing. I was wearing these plain black rash guards and shorts to training, and not telling anyone what to wear, where they were coming from. I was just wearing gear that I had sourced myself, testing the quality of it, going back to suppliers, tweaking it, and finding good suppliers, and just trying to develop a quality product, and try and cut through all that noise of all these suppliers who are offering their services to Jiu-Jitsu gyms and potential brand owners within Jiu-Jitsu. And yeah, we have in the past supplied custom gear to gyms, and they've gone down very well as well. And that was kind of part of what we were trying to do in terms of getting quality product out there and just helping out the community in general. And yeah, that's the mission statement. It's be involved in Jiu-Jitsu and enjoy the industry and have another angle of kind of making some sort of a living out of it. And that's not just teaching.
So you do bulk orders for gyms, for rash guards, not gis though, right?
No, not gis yet. So gis is a whole other kettle of fish when you're trying to make quality products. So
is that in the future?
Possibly. Yeah, we're working on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where can they reach you?
You can reach out on Instagram, @Coffee Kimuras, or coffeekimuras.com.
Or coffeeandkimuras.com. Okay.
No and.
What's that?
No and. Just coffeekimuras.com.
Coffeekimuras.com.
Yeah, someone stole the coffeeandkimuras.com domain before we got in, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That so sucks.
Yeah. It's not a big deal. Yeah. We'll cope.
What's next for you guys? So what's the plan on anything coming up? Anything to promote?
Yeah, so in the next 3 weeks, we're going to have new ranges of gear coming out. We're speaking to a couple of athletes at the minute, sliding that in there, so that there might be some new athletes coming on board with us, and you might see kind of different faces on our material around our social media and on our website. And yeah, it's just about continuing to enjoy the journey, and obviously developing our coffee, getting good quality coffee out there, and yeah, that's the future. There's no end goal. There's no like mad goals of where we want to get to. It's just enjoying the process, building the brand one step at a time, being consistent, and yeah, enjoying our time doing jiu-jitsu while we can do it.
You can't disclose who's coming on. Any European superstars?
Not just yet.
Not just yet. Okay.
Keep an eye out. You'll find out.
Yeah, they'll be watching this podcast. So, all right, thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thanks
I
for having me on, dude. Thanks for coming over to see us.
Yes, it was a
best
great
of
time.
luck with. I don't like saying best of luck, actually. All the best on Grapple Fest on Saturday.
Oh, it's gonna be a scrap.
You don't need luck. You just need skill.
Who's that?
Is that cliche?
I think Conor McGregor said no. So who was it? Someone said luck is for losers. That was CM Punk. Oh my god.
Oh no.
That guy got crushed.
We're ending this podcast on a bad note.
I know. That was a little cringy when he did fought in the UFC. So
moving on.
We need a Conor McGregor quote.
We need an Austin Daffron quote.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, brother.
Thank you.